Okay, let's dive right into this. We have absolutely all felt it, haven't we? That sinking, incredibly heavy feeling of just failing. It's a completely universal human experience. You hit a wall, you make a mistake, or you just fall short of a goal you set, and suddenly you feel entirely broken, like you can't be fixed. But what if that feeling of being completely shattered is actually just an illusion? Well, today in this explainer, we are looking at a really beautiful framework for psychological resilience, and it's drawn from this profound little story about a clockmaker. We're going to explore how simply shifting our perspective on what it actually means to be broken can completely change how we move forward in our own lives. So, picture this. We're going to step into a world that sets a very immediate, almost cinematic tone. Imagine a gloomy, rain-swept town. The dark clouds are just heavy in the sky, and everyone has retreated indoors, kind of just watching the rain wash down their windows. But tucked away right at the end of this narrow little street is a tiny repair shop, and inside is Mr. Thomas. He's a 70-year-old man, and his hands are covered in these tiny scars from a literal lifetime spent fixing things. There's a quote that perfectly captures his worldview. Every old clock carries someone's memories, and that is exactly how Mr. Thomas views the world. He doesn't just look down and see metal and glass. He sees history, he sees emotion, and he sees human life.
And that brings us to Section 1, Shop in the Rain and the Illusion of Being Broken.
It's right here in this shop that we meet Daniel. He's a young boy who walks in out of the rain, visibly worried, and he's clutching this old pocket watch that his late grandfather gave him. The problem? Yesterday, it just stopped working. Now, when you walk into Mr. Thomas's shop, you aren't met with silence. You are surrounded by the heartbeat of literally hundreds of clocks. Tick, tick, tick. It's hypnotic. And when Daniel hands over this completely silent pocket watch, Mr. Thomas's scarred hands become incredibly steady and gentle. He takes it, not like it's a piece of junk, but like it's something truly precious. And, he knows exactly what he's doing. Just outside his door, there's this weathered wooden sign that simply reads, "Clock repair since 1975. Mr. Thomas has spent decades diagnosing things that have stopped working. He has this long, proven history of looking at objects that the rest of the world might just throw in the trash and figuring out exactly how to bring them back to life." While he's examining the watch, Mr. Thomas asks Daniel a simple question. Why do people bring clocks to my shop? Daniel's answer is pretty pessimistic, right? He just says, because they're broken. To him, if something stops, it's just broken. End of story. But Mr. Thomas smiles, and he offers this massive paradigm shift. He says, no, it's because they believe they can work again. Think about that. It isn't about the current state of being stopped. It's entirely about the potential to continue. Let's move to and see how this builds into something much bigger than just watch repair in Section 2, the metaphor and removing the dust. So, Mr. Thomas starts explaining to Daniel that people are actually incredibly similar to clocks. Sometimes life breaks us, sure, but that doesn't mean we are useless. We mostly just need a little repair. And he proves this with a very methodical, simple process. Step 1, he cleans every tiny part. Step 2, he replaces one single small spring. And Step 3, he polishes the glass. When the watch suddenly starts ticking again, he turns to Daniel and says something amazing. He says, I didn't give this watch a new life. I simply removed what was stopping it. It's so profound. We don't need to become entirely new people to overcome a failure. We usually just need to clear away the blockages. So what exactly are those blockages? What is the dust inside of us? Well, the things that jam our psychological gears are emotions. Things like fear, doubt, anger, and sadness. When we fail at something, these emotional responses build up inside of us, exactly like dust inside a mechanical clock. And they literally stop us from moving forward. But the absolute incredible takeaway here is that our true strength is still there, right underneath all that dust. The moment we recognize and sweep out those emotional blockages, our natural ability to just keep going simply returns. Which brings us to the core of Daniel's personal struggle in Section 3, the tiny spring and the micro-failure. You see, Daniel was totally projecting his own feelings of failure right onto that watch. He had just recently failed a really important school exam, and he'd internalized this devastating belief that he just wasn't intelligent. He felt broken. Knowing this, Mr. Thomas stops and asks him a really deep question. What makes a clock valuable? Is it the materials? Is it how old it is? The price tag? I want you to really pause and think about that for a second. So, the crucial point is, the answer is simply its ability to keep moving. Value isn't about avoiding failure at all costs. It's not about being flawless or having a luxury price tag. And the same is absolutely true for people. What dictates your value and your resilience is simply your ability to continue forward.
As Daniel gets ready to leave, already feeling a little bit lighter, Mr. Thomas does something I think is just unforgettable. He reaches out and hands Daniel the actual broken spring from the watch. This tiny spring represents a single fixable setback that we mistakenly allow to halt our entire life's progress. Mr. Thomas looks at him and says, "Never allow one small failure to stop your entire life." It is honestly incredible how often a massive, life-altering halt in our momentum is actually caused by just one tiny, completely fixable setback that we've blown way out of proportion.
Let's wrap this up with Section 4, the ticking heart and the legacy. Okay, so the true test of any psychological framework is whether it actually holds up to reality over time, right? Well, years later, Daniel applied himself. He studied harder than he'd ever had before, but he failed again. Because, hey, that is life. This framework doesn't just magically prevent failure. But here's the difference. This time, he remembered the tiny spring. He realized he wasn't permanently broken. Actually, scratch that. He realized he just needed a quick tune-up. So he adjusted his strategy, he cleared out the emotional dust, and he tried again. And ultimately, he became a highly successful engineer. The framework absolutely worked. He just had to keep moving forward. Many years down the line, Daniel actually returns to that old clock shop. The hundreds of clocks on the walls are all still ticking away, but Mr. Thomas is gone. In his place, hanging on the wall is a small memorial photograph with this really profound message. A person is never broken forever. With patience and hope, every heart can begin ticking again. Daniel looks down at his grandfather's pocket watch in his hand, which is still working perfectly, just like his own dreams. You realize the legacy of Mr. Thomas wasn't really just about fixing watches. It was about giving people the tools to fix their own belief in themselves. Which leaves all of us with this final, really crucial question to consider today. What is the tiny spring stopping your journey right now? I mean, really think about it. Are you letting one small failure, a little bit of doubt, or some emotional dust convince you that you are completely, permanently broken? Remember that old clock repair shop in the rain. You are not broken forever. Find your tiny spring, remove the dust, and let yourself start taking again.